I'm Vin.
I'm sorry.
If you would like to get your song reviewed, dear listener, there's the filthy capitalist option. As Sori says, $125 gets you straight to the head of the line. You don't have to be a part of the alliance. You don't have to be part of the group.
Wait a minute.
And the biggest thing is you don't have to wait. You hop, skip, and jump right in front of everybody. $125 gets you there. You do that 3 times, and you get mashed down to the $75 rate for perpetuity.
Yes!
Also, there is a band review option. So if you've got a band and you're trying to get your band some exposure, hit me up at vinsori@gmail.com, and I'll show you the details about how to pull that off.
You can also jump on Patreon, and there is a option on the tiers to be able to get your band reviewed. Obviously, we can't lie to you, so we can't guarantee a positive review. Get what you get.
It's just rubbish.
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 That's British for garbage.
My favorite is the community option. $1 at the gate gets you in at Patreon. You get to join an alliance. The alliance joins their points together, and that helps determine what songs that we do.
The alliances hang out on Discord.
Message me on Patreon to get the link.
And they do all kinds of other cool things. They do Minecraft, Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah. It's a community within the community. Anybody in the village, facebook.com/Vin and Sori. There's 160,000+ people on the channel. What's cool about the Discord is that it offers a real opportunity for community connection, friendship, that type of thing.
And it's on Discord, so if you're not a Facebook person, it's for you.
You start off at $1.
Right.
Plus you get exclusives. Sori and I are working on a song. So the first 15 seconds of that was on Patreon. Also, at $15 tier and above, when we actually debut the video, they're going to be there live with us. There you are, dear listener.
Buy merch.
Breaking the glass.
Buy merch indeed, a child shall lead them. My name is Vincent, ladies and gentlemen.
I'm sorry.
And we are in the midst of a DJ stream.
Up next is Avenged Sevenfold.
This wonderful
Afterlife.
homie right here, that's his picture.
Yep.
And that right there
is his name.
DJ Nick into his house.
You know, babe, since we've been spending time, talking, going to visit your father, we're going to be seeing him and all that. I was like, shoot. When I typed this out, I was like, maybe I shouldn't put badass in it. Because then it's like, if he saw one of our videos, maybe he'd find one where there was cursing. But it would just be one curse. But this is like badass going across the entire stream for multiple songs.
Yeah. Yeah.
Anyway.
I think we've passed that bridge.
I know.
Avenged Sevenfold Afterlife. Let's do it.
Here we go.
Whoa.
It's deep.
me time, baby. Yeah! That was deep. This guy understands God very well. He said, you got to let me go, man. He understands that God wants, this is the Father who wants to keep him. You see that there where he says, you have to let me go?
Yeah.
Command F it. So
I mean, I saw it, but here.
It looks like what? He died?
Well, that's what I was confused about because
he doesn't want to. He's got to make. It's not his time to go in his mind because he's got to make right his wrongs or whatever.
Because this time I'm right to move on, far away from here.
That's. Go ahead. What were you saying?
Well, maybe. But this. I thought this was actually like a breakup song.
Afterlife?
Yeah.
Everything is a relationship song with you. How could that? I mean, go ahead, go for it. I mean, if you go ahead, where do you interpret that? How do you get
I
that?
was coming in and out of the lyrics because I was like following just like the song. So.
Oh, is that what it was?
Huh? Yes.
That's what you were in and okay, I see what you're saying.
Yes.
Okay, so that's why you couldn't figure it. You didn't know the lyrics.
Yeah, I was following the
So where
sound
did
of
you
it.
get the breakup part of it from?
Well, because he said over here, the girl. Where did it say girl? A Command F. Girl. Right there.
I see a distant light, but girl, this can't be right.
Such a surreal place to see, and how did this come to be? Arrived too early. Yeah, I guess maybe not. No, I thought there was another part in here where he said like he had to go on. I don't belong here. We got to move on, dear. Escape from this afterlife. Like, how do you escape? Your afterlife is your heaven. How you can't escape from that? What are you talking about? So that's why I thought it was just some like, because this time I'm right to move on and on, far away from here. I thought it was like, okay, you know how people will break up with somebody and then they get back into the relationship just to break up again. I thought it was like.
I mean, you can interpret it that way. I mean,
there's your afterlife is the second time you guys get together. The relationship died. You resurrected it. Here's your afterlife.
I mean, it's art.
It's not working. He's moving. He's moving on.
It's art. You can interpret it however you want. You're interpreting afterlife as just a big metaphor for a relationship. Is what you're saying. Yeah,
the second time they went into the relationship, gave me your hand, but I realized I just want to say goodbye. Please understand, I have to leave and carry on my own life. Yeah, I don't think he's died. I think he's literally saying, this relationship is not working for me, and I gotta go.
I don't think it's a relationship song at all. I think it's about dying, and usually the motif is that the angel or God says it's not your time. You have to go back. Mm-hmm. That's usually what happens. Mm-hmm. But in this scenario, it's flipped a little bit, and he's saying, I have to go back because I have unfinished business. And the people on the other side don't want him to leave because they're like, hey, you're here, you made it. You're coming back pretty soon anyway. He's like, yeah, I get that. But no, I'm going to leave because I got unfinished business to do. So, see, he says, loved ones back home all crying because they're already missing me. I pray by the grace of God that there's somebody listening.
Yeah, and
give me a chance to be the person I want to be. I'm unbroken. I'm choking on this ecstasy. Oh, Lord, I'll try so hard, but you got to let go of me. Unbreak me, unchain me. I need another chance to live. So I'm interpreting this as God is saying, and all his friends and families, that have passed on, have gone on to the next world, have told him, hey, you made it, you're here, it's good. And he's like, nah, because I'm not the person that I need to be yet. Give me a chance to be the person I want to be, and then I'll come back later. So I took this as, I literalized this and took this as, this is about, he died with unfinished business, and he doesn't want to stay in heaven. He's got to come down and change it. Verse
1 looks like that. I'd agree with that too. On verse 1, but I guess I was more in the middle of the song, because verse 1 I can't even move that to my interpretation.
Yeah, we've been waiting for you, fallen into this place, just giving you a small taste of your afterlife, here to stay. You'll be back here soon anyway.
Yeah.
Because from their vantage point, life is so fleeting. Like, why would you want to go back there? It seems to me is what these people are saying to him, and it's really fascinating because, like I said, most of the time, people have to be told to go back. My mom had one of those experiences.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And when she talked about it, I was always curious about it, but I didn't really want her to talk about it much because she looked really, really traumatized by the fact that she ended up back here.
No way.
Yeah, she said everything is just so much, over there, and you can't. The line where you and God are is like you're your own person. You're a created being, but you're so the oneness you have with God and all that. She was like, ugh. Ugh. It's just a disaster to come back here. So I'm not even sure. I remember when I was a kid, I was obsessive about that stuff. I wanted one of those experiences so bad, and I did everything. I prayed, I fasted, I wouldn't eat, the whole 9 yards. It was crazy.
You're kidding me.
Oh yeah.
Oh, we thought those were bad. You're not surprised, are you?
No, it didn't surprise me. Your family was so fearful of everything. Holy smokes. But now I realize, obviously I understand why God did not afflict me with that kind of an experience. Because, it's like we were talking about this yesterday, we were with COVID, the whole situation with COVID, and you lose your sense of taste and smell.
Yeah.
And, we're checking up, oh, can you taste this? How's this going? And such a basic thing, the sense of taste, that we just take for granted and don't praise God for, don't thank him for. We just assume that, we're just supposed to enjoy all these scrumptious flavors, and we just assume that that's a given to us. And to have that taken away, even for a short period of time, and then it's 10% of the people will not ever receive their sense of taste.
I know.
And it sent us into a little mini panic. But it's if you could really truly go over there, you'll have senses and things like that you will never be able to replicate here. So there's a sense in which you're going to be condemned. If you lived in a world where flavor wasn't a thing, and then you died and came to Earth, and flavor was a thing, and then you had to go back to the world where flavor wasn't a thing, and you knew you're going to have to live the rest of your natural life flavorless, that shit is crazy to me.
Oh, yeah.
The only person I believe that has that kind of moral fortitude that would volunteer to leave when everybody there wants them to stay would be Jesus. That's it. I don't believe that anybody would say, yeah, I made it here. I'm in Jannah. I'm in paradise, but I want to go back because I want to. Well, actually, in Islamic theology, that's one of the virtues of the martyrs.
Oh, really?
Is that Allah says to them, tell me anything you want. Tell me anything you want, and I'll give it to you. And the martyrs say back to Allah, let us go back to earth as humans so we can die fi sabilillah. Die in the way of jihad. Die in the way of Allah.
Wow.
And Allah says, no, I can't do that for you because you guys already passed the test. So I'll give you the next best thing, yada yada. But to me, Jesus is the only person that can truly experience what that world is and it be his time to stay there, and for him to say, nah.
Well, he did it.
He did it,
because he was there, and then he came here, and he had to limit himself to come here.
That's an aspect. I always say, like, that's an aspect of Jesus' sacrifice that Christians almost never take into account.
Well, yeah.
Not just him dying here, but him living here.
Yeah.
It's almost as if like him dying here was kind of like his ticket to get the hell out of Dodge, like away from these people with their smells and weaknesses and all the rest of it. I was like watching Agent Smith in The Matrix Part 1, where he said, he's talking to Morpheus. He's like, we did create like a paradisical world for you guys, and you guys just screwed it up. And then he says to Morpheus, he's like, I have to get out of here. He's like, your smell, your sweat, your stench. He's like, I got to get out of here. He's like, just cooperate and tell me where this guy is so we can kill him so I can get out of here. So it's like, that must have been, that's a lot of love, man, for Jesus to come down here in the midst of all that and live that way for 33 years.
Yeah, whenever you say that, like, I agree with you, but for me, it's like, the bigger issue is that he didn't have that same connection with the Father that he had before, that he had for all eternity, in the sense of, like, remember he would go away into the wilderness or to go pray and stuff like that. He kept getting away to go to the Father. Oh, you disagree, I see. Well, I mean,
that never changed.
The same so you don't think he experienced like loneliness here?
No, I don't think so.
Just on the cross.
Remember, you're talking about a hypostatic union. You're talking about two concomitant natures. Right? Yes, but so as to his humanity, he experienced life as a human being. But as to his divinity, he was still.
Yeah, but as to his divinity, he put aside. Didn't he put aside some of the powers and stuff that he had?
All Philippians 2 means is that he sacrificed the independent use of his divine attributes. He never stopped being God, and he never set aside his divinity. He never set aside an ounce of his power. What Philippians 2 tells us, when it says your attitude should be like Christ, who being in very nature God did not consider equality with God something to be grasped, etc., etc.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean he stopped being God or stopped being divine.
I didn't mean that he stopped being God, but that
none of his power. He didn't set aside any of his power.
When you say the independent use of his power, he didn't tap into that. Right. That to me is the same thing as saying he put aside his power. Because it was still there. If he wanted it, he could use it, but he didn't use it.
Right. So what does that have to do with his relationship within the Trinity?
Well, I always thought this, but probably need more verses on that. I just thought that when he was in heaven or wherever, him, the Father, and the Spirit, they were just like this raging, unified, plan-making body. They're going whatever. And then when he came here, like, he's here, but he's still connected to them, but not in the same way.
Yeah. Well, yeah, show me those verses when we're done.
If this is another time and I wasn't his wife, I'd be burning at the stake right now, right?
What do you mean?
You know exactly what I mean.
That's heresy.
I knew it.
But I mean, that happened on the cross. And that's a mystery of mysteries. That happened on the cross.
So he felt loneliness on the cross.
Yeah. He was alone on the cross. He was forsaken on the cross.
Well, I thought I just asked if he felt loneliness on the cross, and
I thought you were talking about loneliness when he would go off by himself or whatever.
That too. That's literally what I thought, that he felt like. I thought that he felt like kind of like lonely, and to me, his actions look like the actions of someone who has depression.
Well, he's definitely a man of sorrows and acquainted with grief, as to his humanity.
Yep.
But as to his divinity...
So how could you say as to his humanity he didn't feel loneliness?
I didn't say that. We're talking about the dual natures of Christ. So I'm saying as to his divinity, he was still up there. He never left heaven.
But as to his humanity, he experienced that loneliness.
As to his humanity, he experienced regular human loneliness. Sure.
Okay, well, there we have it. So I'm not burning then.
But go ahead, make the point. What were you saying?
I don't friggin' remember because
I was just talking about
so
him.
there's this verse that talks about that, you know, he can become a faithful high priest because he has been here and he did live the life like
Hebrews 4.
Then he is able to he knows what we're going through. And I know that you flip that and you say, okay, what experiences can I experience to experience the things that Christ experienced? But for me, it's very important to know that, okay, like he felt depression or he felt whatever.
Yeah, it's Hebrews 4. It says he's like unto us in all manner except sin, so that he be a merciful and faithful high priest. So he lives to make intercession to all those who come to God through him. Mm-hmm. So, 100%. All I was saying was it's just a massive sacrifice to have to come down here with us, knowing what he could have and should have.
Right. But to me, the smell of, you know, poop and sweat is not as bad as experiencing loneliness and depression.
You're saying that because you've never visited a untouchable ghetto in India. You live in a nice, manicured world in the Western world. You don't have to contend with how disgusting the human body actually is, because you live in a place with running water and all the rest of it. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, but let's say
you don't live the way that those people live.
No, yeah, I know, I don't know. But if they were like, all right, you're now going to be in solitary confinement, you're going to feel loneliness and depression, or they're like, you can live in and you yourself can use the facilities, or you can have someone in there, but the entire room is going to get filled with shit. But you're going to have somebody in there, but they cannot use the bathroom and they cannot use any of the facilities. So I'm taking the person and filling the room with shit because I don't want to be alone.
I know.
And you're not. You're going alone? He's going solo.
There's a lot of people that like being alone. Like the Unabomber. Like he left society and he was in his little cabin. You know what I'm saying?
Fate worse than death.
So
I don't want to be alone. I'm good with like,
but I don't want to like the kid here. Like he wants to go back.
Yeah.
Because he's got unfinished business and he really, and of course the specter of the impending death. Remember the drummer? Remember this guy the Rev guy? He had basically some sort of terminal illness or some sort of ailment that was going to cost him his life, and he was going to die young by all mathematical whatever. So I think a lot of their music, the specter of death was always there. And it's interesting because the very, very last verse, if you go down where he talks about the grace of God and all that, that was him. That was the Rev and the lead singer singing it together.
Oh, wow.
So when you're dying and you know that you're dying, well, everybody's dying. But there's some people that know they're dying more than others. You really start getting the feeling that you don't belong here, and that you start like I could imagine you have this sort of detachment because everybody that you're talking to or hanging around with is assuming the future.
Right.
But you can't assume that future. You don't know if you're going to be in that future. So it must have been for Rev like a real like a feeling of more and more like extraction from his friends, because they're all young men, they're all living their dream, and you know they're thinking about what they're going to do in 20, 30, 40 years, and he knows he doesn't have that much time.
Oh, yeah, no, you're right.
So it must have really kind of like separated him from his from his, you know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah, how could it not? Yeah, how could it not?
So yeah,
and I think, you know, when my uncle was he got cancer, pancreatic cancer, pancreatic and I can't remember what you got 2 types of cancer. When he got cancer, he you could tell that as time progressed that there became that separation, because life with all of us was going to continue without him. And it seemed to me that he was becoming more a part of the afterlife while he was in this life more than he had before. You know, like if somebody's distracted and they're like, maybe they're sitting in the room with you and they're like whatever, but their mind is somewhere else. Well, they're not really fully there with you. If 2 people are sitting together practicing like presence, like both being present,
right,
and then you have that present moment together, like those are pretty crazy moments,
right?
But if one person, they're mentally off somewhere else and the other person's trying to be there, and then the other, you know what I mean, like it's not the same connection. And I think that that's what was happening toward the end of his life, was that we were there being present with the last views of him that we were going to have as he was, as his life was coming to close. But he was becoming, I think once he realized like I'm not gonna get healed from this, like I'm gonna be moving on to the next realm, then I think that his mind was going there. He'd been a Christian all of his life mostly, you know what I'm saying? So he believed in a realm beyond where he was, and he believed in a God that was gonna carry him from this realm to the next, and he had a belief in all that stuff. And so I think that he started accepting it, and then he was kind of there at the same time.
Well, yeah, and you can see with Jesus, because when you have the Gospels are literally the last 3.5 years of his life. And he would say things like, I'm only with you for a short time.
Yeah.
I'm only with you for a little while. Let's work while there's still light. Huh?
People don't believe that when someone says that.
Yeah. But, so what I'm saying is he was mentally transitioning himself and trying to get his folks to understand. But he was a young man, so at the peak of his powers, so they didn't get it.
Right. Well, they thought he was going to overthrow Rome. So,
but this, and he did.
You're going to be here for a long time.
This is really interesting, though, is because it's a form of works righteousness where he doesn't want to go to heaven because he's got unfinished business to do. He wants to go down there and fix what he did wrong. What he doesn't realize is that even if you go down and fix what you did wrong, you're going to do other wrong things in that process.
Yep. Right.
Like, this is something human beings have to contend with. We're never going to be able to right our wrongs. Mm-hmm. Paul said if righteousness could be attained by the works of the law, Christ died for nothing.
Right.
And so it's like, that would be an interesting conversation where Jesus would say, bro, that's a nice sentiment, but if this is not enough, if you go back there, you're not coming back here. That's the thing. Like, that's the raw truth. Like, if you truly, truly believe that you have to earn your way into heaven or undo all of your bad to clean up your slate before you go to heaven, you're not going. And that's one of the offensive bits about Christianity. Like, I'm seeing people in the chat say, Christianity is confusing and things like that. And I understand that sentiment in the sense that we're talking about a lot of complex paradoxes.
Right.
But if we're truly saying, we're making a claim that we have a direct relationship with the Almighty, shouldn't it be a little bit over our heads? Shouldn't it be paradoxical and something that we have to constantly engage our entire person, including our mind, in getting?
Yeah.
There were so many times that Jesus would say something like, eat my flesh and drink my blood. People are like, man, we're out of here. This is a hard teaching. Who can understand it? We're out. See ya. Like, I love the complexity of Christianity. I love the fact that even though I've been doing this my entire life and I've studied countless hours, that I'm still at the foothills. That excites me so much. Like, it's crazy to me. So, but that's one of the major paradoxes of Christianity is that you have to not work.
Yeah. And
all of the unfinished business that you accumulate in your life, you have to recognize that you're always going to have unfinished business if you're doing it. Because you are imperfect. So even if you close that wound, you're going to create another one for someone else.
Yep.
But people have this idea that like life is about like learning this lesson, and when you die, you've completed the lesson. And I don't have that perspective of life. Like, me dying is not a completion of anything. It'd be like saying the gestational process is about learning a lesson, and then when you're born, it's because you've learned all the lessons that you need to learn in the womb. No, you barely learned anything in the womb. You know what you learned in the womb was the voice of your mother.
Right.
That's what you learned. You learned how to survive. You learned how to live in the next world. You practiced for living in the next world. So when the kid is hiccuping and all that, the kid is practicing to live in the next world. And he's learning the voice of his mother and his father, inshallah. That's it. And so I don't
practice breathing.
I don't look at this life as, oh, I'm going to learn all these lessons, and then the minute I've learned everything I'm supposed to learn, then no. It's, I'm being prepared for the real world. The womb is the real world, but it isn't the real world.
Right. Yeah.
And then when you get out of the womb, especially if you listen to Castrop and those boys, you're not in the real world either.
Right.
But it's a virtual sort of training deck to get you the fundamentals of what's going to get you how to breathe in the next world and how to walk and how to live and how to eat in the next world. And I got the answers to the test. It's all Jesus. He's your breath. He's your food. He's how you walk. He's how you talk. He's how you breathe in the new world. And so that's all this little brief slit of time is. Mm-hmm. But if you take it, but it's not a very humanistic, man exalting idea.
No.
It's much more humanistic and man exalting to say, I have learned the lessons I need to learn, and now God has deemed me worthy of going to the next. You know what I'm saying? Like, but this guy is like, well, no, I haven't been good enough. I mean, basically, what he's saying is he's not good enough for heaven. And I think that's paradoxical, because on the one hand it looks very virtuous, but on the other hand it's the epitome of arrogance.
Interesting.
It's the epitome of human hubris.
Right.
You're never going to be worthy of heaven.
And the fact that you think that you are means you have an inflated view of yourself.
Seduct.
That's so interesting. Yeah.
Yeah. So.
Well, I enjoyed this. We haven't had an Avenged Sevenfold song for quite some time. So that was cool.
Yeah.
At the beginning of our channel, we listened to some Avenged Sevenfold. Vin had come up with this thing where he was like, okay, what we're going to do from here on out is if you subscribe to the channel, you get a song reaction. Remember that? Yeah. And then we started getting so many song reactions coming in, and people were subscribing like crazy, and Avenged Sevenfold was getting asked for because we were reacting to Avenged Sevenfold. We were getting more Avenged Sevenfold reaction requests, and then it was becoming like we're never gonna be able to listen to anything else. So, but here we are now, and for me it was a good throwback even to that, like the beginning of the channel, because
I agree.
Avenged Sevenfold was definitely right there with us.
I agree.
Right at the beginning. So, this was like a 9. But did you have something? You were going to say something? Mm-mm. This is like a 9.65 for me.
I'll give it a 9.9. I'll give it a 9.9.
Some heavy hitters.
Yeah. This guy, this Nick guy wasn't playing. Nick wasn't playing with folks today. He didn't come to play.
Please, Nick never comes to play.
He never comes to play. All right, dear listener. Having said that, you corny people, Vin out.
Sori out.
Gone.